Yeah.
Tell me why Vince McMahon isn't the greatest wrestler of all time.
Oof. There we go. That's a great argument right there.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the No Sell Podcast. Today's topic: who is the most overrated wrestler of all time? Now, of course, if we're going to talk about this, we're going to have to define what an overrated wrestler is. That is a wrestler who has gotten more hype, more push, more fans than their talent should allow for. We can look at examples from the past, such as Scott Steiner, or we can look at examples from the present, such as Roman Reigns. But let's put it to the guys. Let's put it to the table. Who is the most overrated wrestler of all time? We'll start with you, Omega. Tell us.
Alrighty, boys. For me personally, I believe it is none other than the best bout machine, Kenny Omega. People are saying that he is considered people are considering him as the greatest wrestler of the modern era, which I think is extremely bullshit. People have been only saying this because of his 2016 to 2017 run in New Japan, and that's about it. There have been many, many people who are way, way better than him in the last 20 years that could be truly considered the greatest wrestlers of the modern era. But Omega's just outshines them all. And I know exactly why. The thing is that Omega's biggest fucking asset is the shitty star rating of Dave Meltzer. Because, by God, today's wrestling marks just fucking give in to what Meltzer says and think of it as the truth. He's given the matches with Okada, all of the past four of them above 5 stars out of 5, which is just fucking stupid. Wrestle Kingdom, what was it? 11 got, I think it was 6 stars. The second match at Dominion 6.8 was 6.5 stars. The third match at the G1 was 5.45 stars. And fucking Dominion 6.9, the last match, was a 7-star review. And I'm just saying that this shit is just fucking ridiculous. Sure, his matches were alright, but they're not the fucking greatest matches of all time. Get that idiotic, absolute stupid remark out of here. The only match I would even consider being closest to a contender is like the second match, because it had the most story driven, plus it wasn't as fucking over the top as what the other matches were. The fucking one of the G1, that one was okay. It wasn't an hour long because of the time limit, but oh my god, it's just fucking stupid sometimes, some of these marks and their fucking whole praisal to Kenny Omega. Secondly, ever since his implementation of the V-trigger as his one of his go-to moves has become so overused that it's become half of his entire moveset. I'm sick and tired of wrestlers picking a cool-looking move that they used to actually end matches with, and they use it as just another striking move. There's no legitimacy to the actual moveset, and it realistically buries the previous opponents that's lost to it. Thirdly, his promo work. They are not good. I've seen people online and I've seen people I've talked to in person that say, oh, he's got one of the better promo work in the last 10, 15 years. Fuck no. They're not. His fucking promos are really just bland and realistically very forgettable. The only time that he actually is quote unquote good is when he speaks Japanese, and that's because I can't fucking understand what he's saying. I've got two other points. Fourthly, especially in New Japan, he has had some of the most unmemorable and lackluster title runs in its country's in the company's history. Like, the United States title run was okay, but only really because of the match with Jericho. And if we're gonna be honest here, the match itself overdid the fucking title, so that wasn't really much help on a brand new title that they were giving to Omega to help run. And like, he's the current AAA champion, and even I've forgotten about it, and I watch AAA fucking almost regularly. Finally, there has been so much credit to Kenny Omega for the increase of wrestling indie like viewership, which is, to me, okay, he has some, but don't give it all. There's been so many guys in the indie scene that's helped out build the viewership wise, and as much as Kenny Omega. Japan was mainly helped by Shinsuke Nakamura, especially when it came to NXT. The American side was all like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as El Jericho. And then like Mexico with the other guys over there, like fucking Pentagon and all of those other guys there. They were the ones that really helped out. Sure, Omega helped out in the numbers, but not as much as what people fucking think. And I just think overall, when people say that he's like the greatest modern day wrestler of that period that we are now, I think it's just overrated as fuck, to be honest.
All right. So I'm gonna pass it up to Octo. You want to offer any counter arguments to that?
No, I mean, he has valid points on that. I think the Meltzer giving him 7-star ratings is becoming a meme at this point, definitely. Much like Omega, I have watched like the first one they had at Wrestle Kingdom, which Meltzer gave 6 stars to the first time. And I watched the one where Kenny won the belt, and I don't know where did he give more points? Give you more stars to the one where he won the belt? I can't remember.
The one
anymore.
that he won the belt was 7 stars.
And
that was an hour and 4 minutes. The match.
Because, I like, much like you. I also like that way more than the Wrestle Kingdom match because it had way more storytelling. I think the one that they had at Wrestle Kingdom was basically just to establish Omega as like, okay, this guy is now exactly where, for example, AJ Styles was a year prior. He's now in the main event scene. And I mean, I like Kenny Omega matches. I will say that. I would not call him, I don't know. I mean, I would not, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty damn, he's not my favorite wrestler. And sometimes it's a little bit too much for me, but he's not like, what some people say. He's not like he's overdoing it, or he's, he's just basically just hitting knee strikes and knee strikes and knee strikes. Yeah, sure. I mean, when we want to criticize people for having too many false finishes these days, I mean, we have to just blame over 100 wrestlers these days. I mean, this, especially the ones who started in like the mid 2000s in the independent scene. With Ring of Honor and things like that, when they just did pile drives from like the apron on, and then they were just standing up 2 minutes later. I mean, that is where it really started. So, and promo wise, I mean, he's not rocking my world. Definitely, also not as well. I think he's better as a heel, and currently he's turning back into a heel in AEW. And I liked his heel work way more than his babyface work. So. Yeah, I mean, as a promo, I would say he's fine, but that's like it.
As if anyone in the audience wants to know who I actually truly believe is the greatest wrestler of the modern era, I believe AJ Styles. He's been in the business for like 20 years, 25 years, or whatever, and other than Kenny, who's only had a realistically 2 to 3 year boost, AJ's been doing it for over a decade and a half, and actually been carrying a company, which was TNA back in the day.
Right.
You could also add on that he carried New Japan during that period as well.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you, Kingdom. Let me ask you, Kingdom. I'm going to give you your chance. This is your spot to offer any counter arguments to Omega's choice.
Where to start? First of all, I agree with you completely. Kenny Omega is a blight to the wrestling industry. And that's all I have to say on that.
All right. Completely fucking useless, as usual. All right. So let's move on.
Completely useless? That's a sound bite for you.
Let's move on to Octo. Your choice for most overrated wrestler of all time.
Okay, this will probably trigger some people, and I don't give a fuck really. So I have been a wrestling fan, like I said on our last episode, for like 10 years, and I started watching wrestling when everybody said it sucked. It was like during the 2010s where wrestling was really down, where they put the belt on Jack Swagger, and when like he won the belt, he had no emotions whatsoever, and his promos fucking sucked. Just putting the belts on people that, you know, should have never had the belt, maybe. I mean, maybe Swagger wasn't ready, or they just basically used him fucking badly, you know, like they did many people during this time period. But there's one guy that also the internet, in my opinion, is just completely overrating it. And this comes from like the fans and the WWE stans, I think you would call them these days. And that is, in my opinion, The Miz. Now, before everybody wants to murder me,
I want to murder you, boy.
Yeah, before everyone wants to murder me, I also like Omega. I have some points here why I think he's fucking overrated in many ways. So my first point here is that's not really, I mean, that's not particularly his fault, but my first point here is when he was a babyface in 2000 and I think 12 or 13, he was the worst fucking babyface I've ever seen in my fucking life. There was no value why I would ever cheer this motherfucker. They wanted WWE, and this is again not his fault, but WWE wanted me to believe that this guy is going to be the new Ric Flair. Ric Flair came out to a segment and said, yes, this guy is the new fucking Ric Flair. And that was the point where I said, Raw sucks, WWE sucks, fuck this show, I'm out of here. If you think The Miz is the new Ric Flair, I know a lot of people that are big Miz fans have probably never even seen Ric Flair in their prime. And listen, I've also not watched Ric Flair when he was in his prime, but I rewatched a ton of stuff. And Ric Flair, in my opinion, I have never seen an interview where Ric Flair was not entertaining. Ric Flair nearly got nude on a Nitro once, and that was fucking more entertaining than 10,000 Miz promos that I've ever seen in my life. So, but now to my second point, because that's that what I just said goes into that point. The Miz, I also will say, is a great speaker. He's very good on the mic. He's very fluid. And this guy, in my opinion, could be a great mouthpiece for, you know, whoever could not talk. Like, you know, Bobby Lashley. But Bobby Lashley right now has MVP. But, you know, just some guy that is really not good all on the mic. But you can have Miz, for example, in there to take the talking part. He's a great speaker. But whenever he does a promo, he never makes me want to watch him wrestle. Never. I've never seen... The one time maybe was when he did that Talking Smack promo on Daniel Bryan, where he showed fucking passion into it, and then I think for months on end, then afterwards he just, you know, did the Miz kicks, and not the Miz kicks, the Daniel Bryan corner kicks. He just tried to imitate Daniel Bryan. You just saw how fucking terrible this guy is at doing the fucking things, and it's actually great heel things to do, because you actually wanted to see Daniel Bryan do it right and fucking kick this fucker in the face. But the problem was, at the time, Daniel Bryan was not cleared for the ring, so it didn't do nothing. And when they did the match 2 years later, I seriously didn't care that much either for it at that point. So, yeah, like I said, I've never seen a promo where I would really want to see him wrestle. Like, yes, people always say he's a great talker, and he is a great talker. He's really a great talker, but he's nowhere near a Ric Flair. Which maybe is the one big point why I have him on this list, because people compare him to Ric Flair. He's not Ric Flair. Like, Ric Flair can talk you into watching his matches. He can be so fucking entertaining. I can watch Ric Flair promos for 20 minutes, like on end. If you just put Ric Flair on every 20-minute opening promo on Raw, I would watch it. I would seriously watch it. but the Miz is not doing it for me personally. Maybe some people they like to watch him wrestle, but he's not my cup of tea. Third point, what I have written here. Wrestling skill is fine. He's a fine worker. He was, I think, never hurt in his career, so good to him. You know, I don't hate him as a person. He's probably a good guy, you know. So, and for him to never get hurt and wrestle the way he did, I mean, he's pretty smart. But people are saying this guy needs to be in the main events, and he's not that great of an athlete. And when you want to compare him to guys like Flair and Rock, I mean, Rock was also never like, you know, we just talked about Kenny Omega, and people say he's a fucking great wrestler, or, you know, people are saying Shawn Michaels was a great wrestler. You know, these guys at least are athletes, and you can definitely see that. Miz is not an athlete, and you can definitely see that. He's a guy that pretends to wrestle. That's just my thing. But again, he's smart, and he's definitely better than he was in 2006. I will give him that. So that's that. And my fourth point just says badass Miz exclamation point. So that probably means that whenever he's a babyface and tries to be a badass, like he did last year when he feuded with Shane McMahon and just beat, I think, like 4 guys, like Insanity or whatever, in backstage area. Like, he was stone cold Mike Mizanin was a fucking fail. And then the fucking feud against Bray Wyatt, where the fucking creep Bray Wyatt goes into his daughter's room, puts a creepy doll in there, and Miz on the pay-per-view night has nothing better to do than just do his regular entrance, do his goofy ass dance with his goofy fucking coat. And it's like, I was already out of the match then. And then Bray Wyatt came out with his fucking sweater entrance, and I was like, this was shit. This is fucking bullshit. So, yeah. And that's basically it. So badass Miz is, you know, he's better as a heel than a face. I think everybody can agree on that.
All right. Very well made case. Let's go to you, Omega. Your counter argument, if you have any.
Look, I agree with most of your points, Octa. Do I believe that The Miz was ever truly earned a WWE title run? Fuck no. By God, he was WWE champion, and I still can't believe it. And
I think every finish in his title run was the same. I think Alex Riley interfered in every one of them. Yeah, I believe.
So
yeah.
Yeah, but and do I believe that he deserves to break? I think he's almost up to the thing where he's breaking Chris Jericho's record as most Intercontinental championships in a career. No, I don't. However, do I think that he's earned his way? I believe he does. Yes, early on, 2006, terrible run. But he started really building up back in, I think it was 2010, when him and R-Truth did that storyline where they were practically becoming, no agent, they're free roaming agent, and they were just fucking terrorizing the roster and Triple H. That was great. I think that was great work from both of them.
You want to know why I hated that?
Why?
I hated that run because, yes, they were great in promo style and everything, and especially Truth. I like Truth as a promo guy, and when they did that run in the Hell in a Cell match, I mean, it was violent, it was vicious, and it actually looked like, okay, you can actually do something out of this now. And then a month later, they were they were fucking fed to The Rock and John Cena. They were presented as these rebels that just kick everyone's ass and don't care about it. And then when they came out for the match, and you remember their entrance, right? What they did?
Yeah.
They had R-Truth's rap on an instrumental, and they rapped and came out and just said to everyone, "You suck." And I was like, this is an opening tag team act.
Yeah. But would
you can create some heat for it, and you are fucking presenting them to me as a main event heel, threading tag team that goes against Rock and John Cena? No, I don't believe that.
But again, does that go to the individual as what he decides, or the company making the decisions for them?
I mean, I don't know who came up with the idea. If I heard actually that Miz actually was rapping in the backstage area. I don't know who fucking told the story once. Either on a shoot interview or even on WWE Network itself. Like someone said Miz was starting to rap when him and Truth were, just touring around together. And so at some point this became a part of the act. And I was like, when they started, it was a tag team act, and the tag team division at that point was shit. They just had Air Boom and the Usos, like before they became the fucking Usos that we know them today. Like the fucking tag team division was awful. So I was like, yeah, you can put the tag team belts on them. I mean, there's no better choice right now than these two guys. But as soon as they became a main event act, that is what it killed for me.
Yeah, no.
All right. Kingdom, any counter arguments?
Well, I was going to tell him a new one about because he was a safe in the ring, type of person. That was sort of his gimmick. That's something he's proud of. The Ric Flair Jr. thing, yeah, that was kind of shit. Promo skill was really good. So yeah, I kind of have to agree with a lot of your points there.
Alrighty. Well, if I had to offer anything, any kind of counter argument for The Miz is that basically, to me, he was always just poorly mismanaged. Miz has an incredible ability to make you hate his guts, to make you want to see him get his ass whipped. And that is an extraordinary talent that very few wrestlers have. I just think he was sorely mismanaged. I think they tossed him around tag team to tag team. They did everything they could to try to put a gimmick on him instead of just letting the guy just be a smarmy, arrogant prick. That's all he needs to be. Just a smarmy, arrogant prick.
One thing that I really hate about WWE is sometimes they just push people that they haven't pushed for years. Like The Miz all of a sudden was pushed in 2016 again out of nowhere. Like he wasn't doing nothing. He was like a basically undercut guy. And then out of a sudden, first Zack Ryder out of a sudden won the belt at WrestleMania. And then the next night after, they just put the belt on The Miz. And I was like, the two guys that were insanely hot for that ladder match where Ryder won it were Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And despite what maybe some people may think of them, but the fucking crowd was going mental for them. This was a match that the main roster audience hasn't seen. And all of a sudden you go back to The Miz. And now he's the Intercontinental Champion. I mean, that was kind of that just came completely out of nowhere. And, there was no time for you to actually care about his title run. So yeah, right. I will care. I will say this again. I think he's a nice guy. He's a very talented man. I'm just, like you said, I think he was just screwed the company way too many times, so that I think that he's probably way too overrated.
All right, so let's move on to your case, Kingdom. You tell me who you think the most overrated wrestler is.
Here we go.
Well, this is going to be a bit of a head fuck because I have changed my pick. I'll explain this. Like, I was going to pick Cesaro because I had a case of him, but I think I got a better case for this person. I'm going to pick Sid Vicious, an older guy because when I see overrated, right, you have to have reached the top, and yeah, the top.
I'm not gonna lie. Once you said that, I thought, yeah, you what? You're right. He was a very overrated wrestler. All right, go ahead and make your case, Kingdom.
Go ahead and make my king case, okay? And with Cesaro, I could only think post 2017. That's more fighting against it because that was after the Cena matches that he tore the house down. But with Sid Vicious, this is a guy that was pushed to the top, was a WWE champion at one point, I believe. He was paired up with Shawn Michaels and all that if issue from memory. But that's just how fucking overrated he is because I can't really remember what he actually did. Where Cesaro, of course, is earlier. But I think it's also unfair because he's a newer guy and he could still somehow get up. His career's not finished. And Sid Vicious, his character is meant to be a psychotic, and even then, looking back, it's just bland as hell. That's the one, part of overrated. He can't even do his own gimmick, and his title, nothing really happened. So, yeah,
that's your case. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go. Let's start with you, Omega. We'll ask you any of your counter.
Actually, hold on. One last case. The only thing he's remembered for is breaking his fucking leg in WCW. If that doesn't scream failure or overrated as a wrestler, being pushed to the top all these years, He's like in the Lex Luger category, but at least Lex Luger looked good doing fucking poses and shit. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna pick Sid Vicious. Okay, everyone.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Omega. Your counter argument.
I think there is realistically, in the entire career of Sid Vicious, there is like four things that come to my head. Breaking his leg in WCW. His what is it? Yeah, You're bigger than me, I'm dumber than you promo or whatever he did. It was like botched promo where he's fucking saying like I'm the dumbest.
I'm only half the brain that you do.
Yeah.
See, like, there's two things that I couldn't even remember, and the most memorable, and it's still a fucking colossal failure.
That
Apparently, the legend with that one is actually apparently he was actually made to do that, from what I've heard. So they actually wanted him to make him look as fucking terrible as possible, because if you remember, I believe Kevin Nash had the fucking book at the time. And so he was just a guy who just wanted some stupid-ass television, and, you know, he was around when Sid was doing his fuck-ups in WWE.
Yeah.
So he probably said, yeah, you know what? Well, we'll make this his gimmick now here in WCW. We'll just say stupid shit.
Yeah, exactly. So those two, literally, and this is the thing, I've watched a lot of old WWF, WCW, even WWF stuff, and Sid Vicious's entire title reign is only really memorable because Taker won it at WrestleMania 13. That's really it. That's the only thing I can remember from his entire title run, is that he dropped it to Taker at WrestleMania. And of course, probably I think what most fans will be will be remembering Sid Vicious for is his fucking Sid fucking pyro on the top of the ring, and that's about it with him. So I think I completely agree with you, Kingdom. I think he realistically should have never been a fucking world champion. I think that was a very bleak time when he was champion, that nothing was really going on.
But here's the other thing. So kind of a counter argument, but he got so many chances at the top as well. You know?
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
Kingdom. I think you guys are. I think you're underestimating the man who had a monkey knife fight with Arn Anderson in a hotel.
Fuck fuck's sakes.
I still want to know how that actually turned out. Like, I just have I cannot fucking imagine this. Like,
I think the monkey stabbed both of them and left.
But all right. So I guess I'll jump right in.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this one.
Tell you guys who the real most overrated wrestler of all time is. The most overrated wrestler of all time, in my opinion, is none other than the Ultimate Warrior. From his early 80s or early 90s, late 80s WWF days. Now, I can't explain to you how much of a fucking sizzle and no stake situation this is. The only thing that is notable about this guy is that he ran to the ring and then shook the ropes like some kind of goddamn gorilla. His promos were cocaine-fueled rants that made absolutely no sense. Hulk Hogan's were pretty wild too, but Ultimate Warrior was standing there talking about the moon and the stars, and we will go to the farthest edges of the universe, and you can never defeat the Ultimate Warrior, because when I put the eggs of justice in the pan of destrucity, you will find yourself in the grand breakfast of death. It's always some dumb shit like that. He had less moves than John Cena, all right? John Cena's known for having 5 fucking moves, and this guy had less. He had a clothesline, press slam, and a shoulder tackle.
The splash.
And the splash. That's it. That's the entire moveset. And you could tell how overrated he was even during that time, because when he tried to bring him back, nobody gave a shit. Nobody absolutely gave a shit. And then when he went to WCW, they gave even less of a shit. All right, so it's a, to me, I don't know what you can possibly say that justifies the amount of fanfare and the amount of push that this guy got. What did he possibly do to deserve? The guy there is well documented evidence all over the internet. If you just Google search it, all right, just go to YouTube and look up any given interview about the Ultimate Warrior, you will see wrestler after wrestler after wrestler say this guy was a fucking prick. This guy didn't respect the business. This guy, we had to carry him through matches. The fucking honky tonk man has to carry your ass through a match. Then you are piss fucking poor. I don't know why everybody sucked this guy's dick. He was such a fucking prick. And on top of all of that, he rode Sting's coattails until he actually got signed. And the only reason he got signed, the only reason that he got over was because he's jacked up on fucking steroids. Vince has a big hard-on, a big baloney-sized raging hard-on for big muscular guys. I don't know what it is. I think he might be a little bi-curious there. But it's just astounding that you could bring this goof, this clown, into the WWF, push him straight to the top. He had an undefeated streak until after he won the title. Like it's a straight monster story. But again, I think as I was mentioning, as we were talking before we started the podcast, you could take someone comparable like Goldberg, but Goldberg is just Goldberg. Like nobody really puts Goldberg over any more than Nobody says, "Oh, Goldberg's such a fucking legend." He's such a mark for him. You know, the way they do Ultimate Warrior. I don't know why people fanboy for this motherfucker. It's like it's the nostalgia glasses. No, he was terrible then. He was terrible. He's terrible now.
Alrighty then. Well, that was interesting.
So,
I got a counter argument. I believe he could go 15 minutes in a match if the entrance lasted 14.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, but then even then he would be gassed. You know, every time he ran to the ring, he was fucking sweating his balls off afterwards.
I mean, have you looked at how large the distance is, or long the distance is? You'd be gassed too, even if you're a fucking, Usain Bolt type of athlete. You'd be gassed, trying to run that loud.
Yeah.
Like,
I think John Cena was mostly fine whenever he did his entrance for WrestleMania, so shit.
I mean, I would be more willing to listen to his gassed excuse, if I didn't know that he was high off his ass on cocaine.
Now I've got a legitimate counter argument. Now, my personal opinions on Ultimate Warrior is that I think he's an absolute fucking douche. However, I agree with you on the terms of he's an overrated wrestler, but I think people more think of him as a spectacle, because this was back in the day when there was very much many larger than life athletes, many people, and I'm gonna say, if you're gonna be well, you can't do Ultimate Warrior because he's shit in the promos, he's shit in the ring, all that sort of stuff. He was only really popular because of how he looked and how big he was or whatever. You could say that the same with Andre. Andre's whole gimmick was he was a spectacle. He wasn't a wrestler. He was there to just show up at the arena, show himself to the world as this larger than life figure, and that was his job. His job wasn't to do a wrestling match.
But hold on. I'm going to counter that because Andre had been wrestling since the 70s.
Yeah.
He had a 20-year, he had like a 10 or 20-year, 15-year career that led back before that built his reputation. He wasn't coming in as, jacked up fucking jerk off screaming about the moon and the stars and then beating everybody on his way to the top.
Yeah, but remember, a counter argument to that is, even though Andre did start it way before, you would say they had a similar easiness to the run. I mean, when a promoter looks at Andre and looks at that 7'5", 7'6" figure, he's not going to be like, oh, okay, this guy's going to lose a match. No, it's going to be a very easy booking of this guy's going to be undefeated for the entire time.
And interjected counter argument. Andre the Giant didn't break into the business teaming with fucking Ric Flair or Dusty Rhodes, like fucking Ultimate Warrior did. He didn't go that route. He knew as soon as he was in, he was going to be like a attraction. Ultimate Warrior is just being called an attraction because like they're trying to find excuse to.
It's not like there wasn't. It's not like he came in. He came in as the Hulk Hogan replacement because Hulk Hogan was planning to leave the WWF and go off to Hollywood and do all the rest of that stuff.
That's why they did WrestleMania 6, if I remember.
Yes,
that was the whole point.
Yes, but here's the thing: Hulk Hogan has charisma. Of all the things you can say about him, the guy's got charisma. He can draw asses to seats. Yeah. Without Hulk Hogan as a counterbalance for Ultimate Warrior, how long did Ultimate Warrior last? Once Hogan took off to go do Hollywood, how long did fucking Warrior last?
Yeah.
Fucking lost to Sergeant Slaughter.
But also, let's be honest, also at that time, especially WrestleMania 6, that was sort of the closing year of the superhero-esque gimmicks, which was very much dying off, and that was when more legitimate gimmicks like Bret Hart and British Bulldog and all that.
Duke the Dumpster Drosy and the Mantar and all the rest of that goofy shit that came out of the new generation. You're absolutely right. No goofy gimmicks after that.
No, I wouldn't say it was goofy, but the main roster, like the fucking main eventers, were less of a actual superhero fucking immortal, and it was more of an actual, like, you had the fucking comedy gimmick stupid like Mantar and all that sort of shit. Yeah, but you're gonna get that with every era of professional wrestling, no matter what. I mean, yeah, it's the same with today's era with fucking Orange Cassidy and fucking The Fiend. I don't care what you marks say, the fucking Fiend's a terrible character, get the fuck out of here. Now, yeah, and that's the same with like, fucking, even, like, the 90s and shit, the late 90s and the 2000s were fucking, they had gimmicky, stupid, but the main eventers, that's when the superhero gimmicks was going away.
No, if you look at the top guys around the time that Warrior won the title, it was still, you had a cop, all right? You had some really goofy gimmicks, but you still had guys like Jim Duggan. You still had guys like Rick Martel, who were very vanilla. They might have a little bit of a gimmick, a little hint of one, but they're still very vanilla. Jake the Snake Roberts was midway vanilla. Rick Rude, vanilla. Like, his whole gimmick was, I look good. that's it. It's just once you started getting guys in, like once Shawn Michaels started making his rise, and you had guys coming up like Triple H, and you had guys like Austin eventually come in. I mean, you are right that the goofy gimmicks started fading their way out, like, for a while there, until the Attitude Era really got ramped up, and then Mae Young is giving birth to a hand, Yeah, wrestling got very vanilla-ish during that mid-90s run when you had Diesel,
slate, like, era.
Well, you had Diesel and Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Sid Vicious, the blandest of the bland.
Fucking
all right,
King Kong Bundy was still around.
Sid Vicious gets called. Sid Vicious would be called bland by fucking soy milk.
Yeah.
So, no, but I think these are all good. These are all good choices. They really are. They really. I think everybody, at least, well, except Kingdom, well thought out.
Kingdom just came for the paycheck.
But Kingdom's Choice is
Oh,
Oh my god, for fuck's sakes.
Kingdom's Choice was very good. No, but everybody out there, if you have an idea, you want to give your argument, you want to leave your case in the comment section, please do so. We look forward to your feedback, and if you make a particularly good case, we'll bring it up on the next podcast.
tell us why Orange Cassidy is the best fucking wrestler of all time.
Now, is there anything else we want to talk about, boys? On that?
No, I think that wraps up for this episode, brother.
Yeah. Well, before we head off, credit where credit's due. I want to thank the artist who just did our thumbnail, the art and our profile picture. I like the Thank you, Dio Guido. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
No, not you, Kingdom. Not you, Kingdom. Of all people, no. You're terrible. Dio Guido, this guy did an amazing job, as probably all of you have seen listening to the podcast. His links will be in the description. Go check him
Thanks
out.
for the Kaiser helmet.
Yeah, the Kaiser helmet was a great addition.
Buy his art. Make him draw you things that would make your grandmother blush.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, go check out. He's got his Instagram, his Twitter, and his Fiverr account, I think, where you can go and hire him to get your artwork done. So go check him out.
Send him a message. Tell him I want a picture of a banana in a superhero costume standing on top of a burning building with a giant strap-on dildo attached to himself.
And he'll get it done. Oh, God. But anyway, boys, I think that wraps about it. DNA, do you want to do the honors?
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching the No Cell Podcast. This is episode 2, the most overrated wrestler of all time. Come back and join us next time when we will be discussing what?
I don't know.
We fucking know.
This is the No Cell Podcast. This isn't a podcast where we're fucking organized. We think of this shit on the fly.
That's going to be the topic. We're going to talk
do that.
about
We'll do that. You guys are killing me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you guys next time.
What's going on, everybody? This is your boy DNA. Thanks for watching the No Cell Podcast. We appreciate your time. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. You can follow us at our Twitter at X No Cell Podcast X. Be sure to check out the artist that made our thumbnail, donguerolabs. You can find him on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. Just search donguerolabs. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time on the No Cell Podcast.